shattering when shattering the gang of rhyme patterns. I ain't worth challenging. You all need some aspirin. Aspiring to be me, no empires to feed. Just a chosen few that's flowing through, firing up the weed. Jesus, crazy what the world coming to. I'm here to live it, make music. Y'all is just hanging on a gimmick, huh? Wait a minute, man. Don't get me confused with none of these newbie-ass rappers, man. I know the game be feeling fucked up, but I've been making beats since 95, regardless if I had the right promotion or not. Word up. Hey, yo, I ain't always humble. I ain't always intense. I've had my good and bad days like anyone else, more or less. Probably a lot more than less, sort of more of it in a sense. Feel blessed, so I just move forward through the stress. But don't smoke stress. Smoke the bombest weed you ever seen. Cannabis club category, certified Cali green. Type of bomb that I keep up in my sack. They give a lot of cats anxiety attacks. There's no denying the facts. But enough about the weed, though. I keep it on a need-to-know basis. It's time for me to cut to the chase quick. So download the free LP. Spread it to your friends and family. Even to the little haters mad at me. I got 2 official LPs coming after these. So far I'm grateful for the love that's coming back to me. Truly appreciate the support, especially my peeps that had my back when I was going in and out of court. But of course a shout out to all my people. They kept the game alive instead of killing it. Selling out with weak flows, my crew. Anyone that gave an honest point of view. Much respect besides me, man. I do this shit for you, yeah, for you.
Like to play games also. In this game, it's very important to listen to all the instructions. We're going to combine your things in this game.
Ha. So suspect. Now as my rhyme surpasses, visions are overpasses. Some choose to overlook it. They should be looking past it. We hope for classics. We over you whack masters. Soul suspects, man. We fall from the average. People try to act like they shit don't stink. They'll be up shit's creek, plus they ships gon' sink. Now they knee deep in bullshit with nothing to think. On the brink of dealing with the most unpleasant of things. Time switch up, find ways to humble your strut. Just when you was thinking you was the next runner up. Shit out of luck, yo, it's just the way it goes. I ain't gotta stress the rest, all you already know. From a distance, street lights start to filter in. Home from a round trip, had to visit new lands. Back in the building again, back from building with fam. Spaced out, sleep deprived, staring at the ceiling fan. Like, damn. So many things that they said to us, we was kids, but it was all bullshit. Yeah, open up your eyes. They would try to tell us one thing, then say the next thing. So I say, never listen to the lies. Man, everyone's a critic. Just spit it how you live, it's how it's meant to be intended. So open up your eyes. It's all part of the game, ain't nothing but a dang dog. So I say, learn to read between. Yo, you going at it all wrong, so open your eyes. Yo, them cats be living life like they got 9 lives, so don't try. I hit very hard for my size, 6'2", a little over 185, so get it right. They tough talk is filled with fallacies. Believe none of what you hear and only half of what you see. So please, they can go on try to play the road as positive, but either way they talk with it, we know when they prerogative. Even if they polish up their image with some party tracks, we see through the lies, we ain't even need a polygraph. This is passion, the vibe is everlasting. It's better than the last one and colder than the aspens. Used to be overreacting, now I'm overreacting. Now pissed off and mad at me and I'm over here laughing. This shit is crazy, ain't it? The game is crazy tainted, but I'ma do my thing and stay crazy fade. So many things that they said to us, we was kids, but it was all bullshit. Yeah, open up your eyes. They would try to tell us one thing, then say the next thing. So I say, never listen to the lies. Man, everyone's a critic. Just spit it how you live, it's how it's meant to be intended. So open up your eyes. It's all part of the game, ain't nothing but a dang dog. So I say, learn to read between the lines.
Hopefully you guys can hear me now. That was a human error, not a technical one, thank God. What's going on, Luis? Good to see you. Welcome, everybody, to another live stream. And we're getting back to 3D today, which should be fun. Should be a day for a beer, but I still have some client work to get done later today, so I'm drinking coffee. Jake, I think it should be fixed now. Let me know. But thank you for the heads up. I'm going to try to pay a little bit more attention to the chat today in case we have any issues like yesterday, which was a clusterfuck. I apologize for that. I appreciate everyone coming back and for sticking through all of that fun. Okay, so today we go back to 3D. And we're going to pick up where we left off. And let's see, which camera is that? That should be this one. So this is where we're at. I'm pretty sure that this is the longest I've ever worked on like one of these images, as far as like from the time that I started to like the number of days later to finishing. Usually at most it spans like a night while I let things render and then Photoshop it the next day. And so hopefully we can make some good changes, good progress on this, and maybe get to a point where we can push render and get into Photoshop tomorrow, because I feel like this one has been going on for a while. Okay, so let's see. This is where we left off last time. Obviously, here's my plan of attack for today. First, let's fix these buildings a little bit. And then we're going to put a little bit of rocks down kind of at the water's edge here. And then we're going to put some trees in. And maybe that'll get us to a point where we can say, for everything else, we'll fix it in post. So let's hop to it. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope everyone's still staying safe and staying home, hopefully. And washing their hands all of the time, because I noticed when I was typing in the title for this that we're on number 7 of these. And I did not start of these at the beginning of quarantine. So, hopefully everyone's still staying safe, staying positive, keeping their brains healthy, so to speak, and their spirits up. And yeah, let's make a little art and see how that goes. Let's get a little bit of music playing in the background. Because we know for 3D work, it's never that much fun. It's not, I shouldn't say it's not fun, but there's only so much you can say about I'm moving polygons. So let's go ahead and I need to make like a shortcut for this, I think. But okay, music, and hopefully you guys can hear that. There's a little something in the background for us. Basti, I think that's the first time I've seen your name in the chat. Good to have you here. Filippo, good to have you. Tassos, good to have you back again. Thank you guys all for being here. Let's get to work, shall we? Let's do something. Okay, so first things first, we still have like some weird gaps and stuff here, which I'm going to fix just by moving some geometry. I think we can probably collapse this at this point. I'm a big fan of kind of committing to things, whether that's collapsing things, not saving extra copies, deleting things that you don't need out of the scene, and all that kind of fun stuff. Oh yeah, there was also a thing I was gonna do, so I'm gonna do here in a second. Whenever I get a Kit Bash kit, like kind of set up for my own use, I put displacement modifiers on all of it, since all of them have like a displacement modifier in them, so that it's just there for me. But I also have I have a script that turns them all off and on for myself. Just a super simple one. Where is it? Displace. Actually, I just used that. It might be in my history. So this should go through and turn off all of the displacement on all of the meshes, the building meshes at least. And that might help with our load times when we hit render, and we're not really close enough to any of these buildings for that to matter, and it looks like they're all turned off now. Okay, so that should help us there. Alright, let's go back to continuing to try to get this looking good. So let's get that moved. We're gonna do, I think we'll do lighting at the very end once we have some vegetation in there. And I do want to see if there's anything that I can use in the existing kit as kind of like a dock-like structure. Let's see here. What can we maybe turn on its side that would look like a dock? We might just be able to stretch the top of that. Ooh, we might be able to use those as a dock. Is there any rooftops that we could use? We could maybe just use the top of that. That could be cool. I feel like there should be something kind of sticking out into the water to suggest that, you know, these houses can get sort of from one to another. I think that might be good. This might be good. I don't see any other prime targets. Ooh, I could use that. And I think that's probably going to be enough. Let's move that to a layer that'll actually not get hidden. Let's hide all of that. Let's unisolate. Alright, let's kind of put some of these in here. And what I'm kind of hoping for... Oh, Bast! You are the man, dude. Oh, that is awesome. Well, I'm sorry you gotta leave, but thank you for stopping by. I hope you and your family and everybody is doing well in your neck of the woods. And hopefully I see you soon. And I'm not sure what's gonna happen with D2 this year, but hopefully sometime soon we connect and cross paths again. So let's see here. Let's see. Oops. What do we do? Let's get all of these guys. We're gonna have to move this down. We're gonna delete a whole bunch, obviously, from this. Where did our water go? Oh yeah, I think that's gonna work just fine once we delete out the top stuff. That shape's a little bit weird, but you know something? I don't think it's gonna matter. And let's just go ahead and delete a whole bunch. I've got a question here from Tassos, who says, I assume with the distance from the camera and the post you would do later, displacement in the building won't make a big difference, right? It shouldn't make much of a difference. If I was gonna render this at super high res so that we could zoom in on everything, maybe it would. But even that I'm pretty doubtful of, to be honest. And that's exactly the thought, is that at this distance, you know, the normal maps will be just fine. Because we're kind of uplighting the buildings, there might be some effect of it there, but I don't think it's anything significant. So let's just delete all of that. I think that's all we need to do. We wanted to show a little bit of the butt base. Yeah, we'll see what it looks like rendered. That's a little bit strange, but I think we're okay. So we kind of have this guy sitting here. We'll put some trees around it here later. I think we need to make all of these boxes into displays box so that we can stop seeing them all of the time. And then let's take this guy, which is kind of a cool shape. And I think maybe we'll try putting him over here. I think that could be cool. And let's keep moving. Just kind of trying to think what shape I want to see here. Something like that, and we'll delete away the top and make those top pieces smaller. Clark, thank you, my man. I appreciate that. I think it's time we finally get this thing moving. I feel like the last stream took a little bit longer with kind of dicking around with stuff than I would have liked. So we're gonna see if we can make some progress here. And then let's grab these guys. These things are huge, and I don't want them to be huge, but I do want them to be there. And so let's just make them smaller this way. You can see that it leaves these kind of like big gaps down here, but there's no way that's going to be visible in the final. Move that out of the way so we can get back to it. Put it right, let's say they'll go right in the corner. And something like that. Boss, I should be here for about an hour, but that's usually about when I call it quits for the day, but every day at 1 I should be here. Okay, something like that. I think that's kind of cool. And then maybe we have one more, and we'll put one more down there at the bottom somehow. And we'll kind of hide him in the woods. And let's see. Well, maybe this guy just kind of sticks out like this. I think that might be interesting looking. And then down, and then what we'll do is we'll take another one and we'll just kind of squinch it this way and squinch it this way and move it down a little bit, something like that. And we're gonna need to put some little lights probably on these things, but I'm not gonna worry about those right now. And I'm thinking that this guy, maybe we want to move over just a little bit and then put a base on him. So we're gonna grab one more thing to make a base out of. No, definitely not either one of those. We can delete those. And what makes like a good kind of flattish base? I don't think we want it to be round. I think we want to keep it square. Is my gut. Is there anything cool? This kind of resonates with the building up above, which will be nice because it'll make them look more connected, so to speak, or like related design-wise. Oh, dear Lord. So we're just gonna take this, put him right there. I want to make sure that the kind of colonnade there is facing towards us. And I'm thinking something like that. And then we can lift this up just a little bit. And that kind of feels nice, and even though we don't have any, the displacement on these rocks, I think will hide kind of the messiness of how those come together. We'll find out later when we actually hit render, which is not going to be right now. And then the last thing I think we should do before we try to scatter something is we should, I think we should put like some little rocks to break up the edge, like kind of along this edge line. So I'm going to do two things. The first thing that I'm going to do, I think, is what's the fastest way to do this? Take this guy. What I want to do is I don't want the cliffs just to come like straight down into the water. I want there to be some like rocks and rubble there. There's a couple ways that we can do it since we're displacing things. And I'm just trying to think to myself what's going to be the quickest way to get it done. I'm not sure. What we're going to try first is we're going to take a box here. Is this just playing the same song over and over and over again? It feels like it is. It is. Let's shuffle it. There we go. Sorry about that. Daniel, yes, baby. I mean, who knows how long this quarantine's gonna go on, but for as long as it is, I'm gonna try and do it every day. I'm sure at some point I'm gonna fail at that, but that's the goal. I know what I'm gonna do for this. Or I think I know what I'm gonna do for this. I'm going to, did I already make a copy of that? No. Copy, and I'm gonna actually give this a name. We're gonna say rock base edge. And we're gonna slice that. And we're gonna slice it kind of just above the water line. Something like that. And we are going to remove the top of all of that. And we're gonna put a shell on it. And we're gonna have it go both ways. We're gonna say 2 meters out that way and 2 meters the other way. And okay, so that's kind of doing what I want it to do. I don't need a bunch of these. One of the things that I've found to often be the case, you know, like, and this is true for buildings, this is true for landscapes, is that what ends up becoming pretty important. Oops. Nope. Nope. What on earth happened here? Is that, like, where a building, why isn't any of these doing what I want them to do? There it is. Wherever a building, like, two materials come together or anything along those lines, it tends to be very important how they meet, because they very, very rarely ever just kind of come together in a 90-degree angle without some type of overlap or something else differentiating the change from one material to another. And so just adding something can be really, really helpful. And I'm probably going to, should I worry about unwrapping this? Well, let's see what it looks like first. First, let's move it. Dun, 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 dun. We don't want it that high because we are going to displace it. We're not going to displace it nearly as much as we're displacing everything else. Something like that, I think will probably get the job done. And then for UVW mapping, that looks like garbage, but I'm gonna see if it kind of looks okay, to be honest, because maybe it does and I don't need to do anything. And I don't think that just the rock displacement is gonna take too long to do. So yeah, hopefully that does its job for us. And no, it does not. That's okay. So what we're going to do with this now, I think it might actually be a smoothing issue. Oh, I wonder. Let's see what that gives us. We're starting to have some stuff happening. Got some little rocks starting to pop up. Come on, autosave. That's not doing quite as much as I would like it to. Change where it's displacing from so it only comes out. Okay, little rips like this that are mistakes in the displacement are not the worst thing in the world, given what we're trying to get done. But I feel like we're starting to get just a little hint of like a little bit of a base at the water's edge, which is really all I wanted. And I don't think that we're gonna need to clean that up anymore. But I do think we might add, did I pause that rendering? Let's see, yes it is. Let's add one more thing. Editable. poly. I might want to put like one layer of turbo smooth on this. Don't need anything at the bottom. And we're just kind of trying to make a little bit of a distorted rock shape here that we can then kind of turn and rotate and move around on the edge, on the bottom edge. And kind of like, this is another one of those situations where the specifics of this shape don't matter a ton, except that I don't want anything to be perfectly kind of square. So we're just gonna kind of pull some random points around. And we're gonna go and we're gonna thin this guy down a little bit. This is deep and dirty rock making, folks. And then let's give it the same material as the rocks itself. And we're going to need to unwrap this guy a decent amount. Dun, dun, dun. Well, that's actually, I mean, that's not what unwrapping's supposed to look like, but that might look cool displaced, actually. Let's see what happens if we relax it just a bit. Ooh, no. Keep boundary fix the same? No, I think it's kind of, there's something kind of cool about those shapes and patterns on it that I think I'm going to leave on there. And maybe we'll just scale it so that we have a bit more, no, other way. Something maybe kind of like that. I think that could be cool. Oh, and you know what? Right now it's going kind of with the shape of this. What happens if we rotate that guy just a smidgy so that kind of runs across it? Yeah. I think that might look cool. We're about to find out. We are obviously going to need a bit of displacement. Copy that guy. We're just going to paste it right on top. Not instant, so that we can control how much there is. Scale that down. And we can just get a quick look at what that looks like inside of all of this. Indeed, Clark. Happy little accidents. That's all that I'm looking for. I think that's going to be just fine. And so what we're going to do is keeping that guy alive in here. We're just going to kind of move this into a few spots. I think something back over here, and I think another one. We're going to scale these in a second. We're just kind of placing them right now. And all that I'm hoping for is that this helps to clean up some of the edges and give it a little bit of interest. And so first thing we're going to do, we want all of these at very least with a random rotation. So we're going to at least quickly rotate in Z between 0 and 360. This is just a soul burn script, which will rotate them all randomly. Bada bing, bada boom. Nope, that was translate. Well, that's fine. That's the one I wanted. That feels good. And we'll actually, maybe we'll use that for some scale changes too. Do that, give us a little bit of this. We'll make sure that they're all actually hitting the water in a second, especially because we're displacing it. And then we'll also give it a little bit of, oops, I was translating before. Let's just do some scale stuff. Maybe we'll change the heights a bit. And then obviously we need to move anything down to the water line. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Tassos, unwrapping kind of, it's no fun, but it's not the hardest thing in the world. And especially for stuff like this, it helps because it keeps from seams, which is helpful if we're going to be displacing stuff. But it, for stuff like furniture and all that kind of stuff, getting the wood grains to go the right direction ends up doing a lot for your image, I think. In my personal opinion. And learning how to do it, like the first couple times you like really try to get a specific result, it is kind of slow. No question. But it's worth the effort, I find. Okay, that looks, I think, pretty good. And we can kind of ignore the messiness, I think. Because we're just going to keep adding messiness in. So let's save, and we are going to try and scatter some trees. I feel like that's a risk given how many technical nonsense things that we had. I feel like we're really taunting the technology gods right now. You know, let's go for it. So I've already opened, like the last time I scattered scenes, this is just a house that I was recently working on, and I'm just going to grab these two trees and bring them back into here. I'm not going to want to scatter, I think I'm just going to want to scatter it on this. So we're gonna make another one of these, and we're gonna call it tree scatter or scatter tree, so that we can keep track of things and change it as need be. And we're gonna make sure that it's set to not render, so that we don't have any Z fighting. And we're gonna take displacement off of it. And where were our trees? Did I already paste them? It's called AM something or another. I did not. So let's paste them. What's beeping? Something's beeping. What's going on here? Oh, that's not important. Okay, so we got our two trees. These are both proxy objects. And so let's go ahead and make a forest object. Forest Pro. Update manager issues maybe. Let's see here. There we go. Yeah, it did what it was supposed to do. Fantastic. So I'm just scattering it right now on this entire surface. That looks a little bit too dense. So we're gonna go ahead and change that before we add some trees in. Grab those two trees because I know their names. Oops. Come on, computer. I really feel like my computer's struggling these days. Which one? We grabbed 033, we didn't grab 53. how did this copy paste from a different scene? Is it a script? It is a script. And it's not a script that I wrote. Script spot, copy paste. Let me see if I can find it. Copy and paste objects. I think this is the one. I'm pretty sure this is the script that I just used. This thing's a lifesaver. I use this all the time. Tassos. And thank you for taking the time to ask the question. If anything I'm doing you guys have questions about, let me know and I'm happy to explain them. But yeah, that script saves a ton of time. I use it every day and a lot every day. It's one of those things that it's confusing as to how that can possibly be not built into 3ds Max. I don't know. Okay, so first thing we need to do is we need to make sure that this is being limited based off of slope. So I think that should be in surfaces. We do want a whole bunch of randomization. We probably want more scale randomization than is the default. For this, I think something like that's probably good. And where is the slope thing? Areas, distribution. Oh, right here. And what? You probably go up to maybe 30. Just limit it to something like that, so that we don't have too many rocks on steep surfaces. Something like that might look good. Let's go ahead and keep that. Well, let's grab all of these. These should have been grouped. Let's put all of our landscape together. And then the forest, of course. Alright, and I'm gonna group these. Rocks. And obviously we're gonna have to paint out some of these trees, but let's just have a look at what they look like in this scene really quick. We might need to adjust some colors a little bit, at least to get them somewhere in the world of where I want them to end up at. And I'm very much hoping that we don't have to spend a lot of time tweaking the actual forest, because we have to let this reload every single time. But let's see what we get. So how's everybody enjoying their Saturdays? They kind of all feel the same now as the weeks, now that everyone's at home, I feel like. But hopefully you're doing something fun. So they're definitely way too green for my liking. But I do kind of like that we're getting some stuff sitting on like these random little spots that we kind of made purchase for. I want to change something there maybe. Nah, we'll just fix that in post. And obviously we need to clear out a bunch of stuff for the actual buildings, but we're just gonna do that with a painting adjust layer. So let's pause that, grab these trees back, and let's just, I don't want these to be nearly as greenish as they are. And so for these, because God knows what these look like, we're gonna use Slate Editor. For those of you that were wondering if I ever use Slate Editor, stuff like this is super helpful. So what we're gonna do, I think, to change the color of these, there's a decent amount of variation from tree to tree already, so I think we can actually probably just color correct it into less green, add some red and stuff. And let's make sure we can see what we're doing. And we should be able to see it change here. I can never remember if it's positive or cooler to make it warmer. It's definitely positive. That's probably too much. -0.1, -0.1. Something like that's probably good. And let's just bring down the saturation a bit. That was one tree. And is this tree part of the same one? It does look like that one's part of the same one. I'm guessing that that's a stem. Oh, wait. Let's grab this tree as well and do the same thing. Color correction, just drop it right in there. Okay, and we will go, let's do -1.2 for that one. -0.12. There we go. And we'll go down in saturation for that as well. Let's see how that did. Okay. Jake, it is definitely getting a tad bit Groundhog Day-ish, which, you know, like, hey, if you're looking for something to do, that's not a bad idea. So we have some floating stuff, and that's a result of it being displaced off, being scattered on an object that's being displaced. I don't think I'm going to bother fixing that, to be honest. At least not until we get the houses in there, and that's something that we could very easily fix that in post, right? We can just make that a super long truck. It's not that many pixels. But I do like how this kind of makes this feel like a place you want to be a bit more. It's all kind of light and washed out, but let's see what happens when we add everything else in. Okay, so next thing to do, I think we're going to call that probably good for playing with scattering. It's kind of doing what I want. This could be a little bit denser up here, but I don't think it's going to matter too much. And if this would just move, thank you. Let's close that. Let's bring back in our house. Obviously, we're going to have to do a little bit of painting to kind of reveal our houses again. And I actually do want to maybe pull that on a bit more slope. Scattering is one of those things that it's so easy just to waste a ton of time in. What if we go up to 60? That might be better. I'm going to leave that there for now, and then let's add a paint area. I don't know why I made this smaller. Add a paint area, set it to exclude, set a brush to it. That brush is massive. Let's make it quite a bit smaller. Something like that. And we just kind of want to make sure that we're not, you know, destroying our buildings here completely with them. Little painting there, maybe a little bit to clear that guy up. Okay. I don't want that there. And then we got to go up to the top here and clear this guy out. I think I might like that one coming through the house. Kind of buries it nicely. So let's turn that off, and let's maybe try making this a little bit denser. That might be too much. It's hard to say without actually seeing it. But I think that might be cool. And I do kind of wish that this little guy got some trees on it, and I don't think he did. He didn't. He's got a couple little trees up there, but I think I'm going to pull that out just a little bit. Let's first pull it out in the scattering surface, and then we can kind of match it as needed. Something like that. And then we'll pull this top point out. This is just going to spread those trees up there. Because this surface isn't renderable, so we will match this with a little bit of adjusting this guy. Which I guess I could just go and I could have just gone out and replaced the surface, but I feel like the the scatter gods have been nice to us on this so far, so we're just going to kind of not challenge them more than we need to. Been like traumatized from yesterday. Too many things going on. Oh, Tassos, I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah, getting the day started with something that can make you feel good about the whole day is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing. And I'm so glad that you're trying it out and that it sounds like you're liking it. I also think now, I'm also now thinking one other change I think I want to make. I think I want to make these higher. For like compositional readings so that we don't have these kind of right next to each other. I'm just gonna kind of move these up a little bit. And then we're gonna more or less kind of sort of match that with this one. Oh, you know what we can do? There's an easier way, Michael, to do this. Let's grab the tall one. And we can just take this surface and detach it as a clone, say okay. Now we got that guy, and this is the display surface. And then we can just delete that one, and then we can attach that one. Much easier. Trying to work smart and not too hard, or work smart and hard is probably the best solution. Okay, I think we should save because I don't want to have to redo any of that stuff. 150, I don't think we started until like 110 today, so 40 minutes. We got some stuff scattered, we got some rocks in. And now let's see what happens when we put in let's see what happens when we turn on the lights and the buildings, and maybe we'll try and get the lighting worked out, and then it'll be post time for tomorrow. This has gone surprisingly smooth. Oh, I should not have said that. I just absolutely jinxed myself. Well, we just saved anyways. So let's see what happens if we look at everything together right now. All right. Daniel, what's your questions? Too big for the buildings? I'm not sure what that question's in reference to, or if it was something that I said that I'm just basically like, you know, saying the first thing that comes to my mind this whole time. As soon as it kind of comes out my mouth, I've forgotten I've said it. So I'm not entirely sure what the question is. If you want to write it again, I'd be happy to answer it. But yeah, we're gonna see what we got here. I think this will probably take a minute or two to get everything together. Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic about what we're gonna see here in a moment. We'll see in a second. So yeah, so I think we want to add some lights. I wonder if there is a lamp, not like a lamp post, but something that we can use as a lamp post to like mark the ends of like the docks and kind of scatter about a little bit. I feel like that would be cool as opposed to just having the light where the buildings are, which is what it is right now. So let's see what we get out of this, and then we can start adding some of that in. Do. Do I have any coffee left? A little bit of coffee left. Yeah, I'm trying to think about what else to talk about. Any ideas? Let me know. Any questions about anything that I just did or what I'm about to do? Please feel free to ask away. Okay. All right. So one of the so this has, I still have auto tone clamping on, which is why this whole scene just got a whole bunch darker, which I actually don't mind. The auto clamp, I usually turn it off while I'm working so that this doesn't happen, but in this situation I think it's actually a good thing, or a nice little kind of happy accident of sorts. But I am gonna change this. This just kind of like adjusts where like the white point is in an image, and I think that's why it changed colors. Where is it? Power clamp, relative. Let's turn off relative. and see where 1 gives us. 1 locks us in here, so that's good. So that'll stay this way now if we turn off lights or add more lights or anything like that. Why do I post almost no commercial work on my media? That's a good question. I don't post a lot. I actually did just finally start a 3 Marks Instagram, so I will be posting more onto that. But the kind of like amount of time I've been doing for this like hour a day of doing this is kind of like my allotment of social media, I guess. Even though it's not, I guess YouTube social media. That's hard. Kind of not sure what the answer is. Clark, you're absolutely right. NDA is a big part of it. A lot of the some of it I can't post at all because it was never made public. It was never gonna be made public. But for a lot of them, you know, I'll finish a project, and then it'll be, you know, before that project goes public, it'll be 8-9 months from the time I finished it to the time that you know, I'm actually allowed to post it. And, you know, 8-9 months is usually enough time for me to not be as thrilled about what I'm working on as I was when I completed it. I'm going to move this down, the camera down a little bit. And so a lot of it's just kind of, by the time I'm allowed to post it, I'm kind of tired of it or no longer as proud of it as I was before. And the other part of it is that most of my work comes from referrals, past clients, people that I worked with that moved jobs or whatever it might be. And so as a result, social media doesn't really bring in any work for me, or at least not in any meaningful way. And so I don't feel like a need to stay up with it all of the time. That's not the best of answers, I don't think, but it's, I guess, the honest one. But yeah, my 3 Marks Instagram, which you can find, I think it's just 3 Marks, all one word. I think I might have it linked somewhere below. I will be posting some more stuff there. Some old stuff that I've never posted, some stuff that's just kind of being released now might show up there. But yeah, I don't post because I don't need to, and I kind of forget about it. So that's probably not the most satisfying of answers, but I know if I could post it like as soon as I finished it, I definitely would, because whenever I finish it, I'm always trying to make sure that I'm excited about the work that I'm doing for myself, not just for my client. Obviously, you know, number one, I want my client to be happy, but like a very close second to that is I want to be happy with what I'm making. If I could post it right away, I probably would post every last thing I did. But you know, very, very frequently I find myself in a situation where by the time I'm allowed to post it, you know, my kind of excitement with it has dwindled a bit. But yeah, that's... Ideally, I wouldn't say to necessarily follow my lead on that one. I should post more of it than I do. But, you know, only so much time. Okay, so I think what we want to do is I want to find the little light post. I kind of like where this is. It's all very dark right now, but I know I'm going to paint in a lot of atmosphere. And I'd rather start with something dark and make it a little bit brighter than having to like make it nice and bright and then darken things down. I kind of like how the trees are looking. This is intersecting with that building, but I'm kind of okay with that. We might fix a little bit of it. And we should move that probably. Or we should just put a door there. So we're going to put a door there because I actually like where the light's falling. I'm going to put a door in front of that. We're going to put some light down on these like rooftop docks that I've made something over here so that that sticks out. Let's see what the Z-depth looks like because it kind of gives us more information about what's there. This we're gonna move this so that it actually we can actually see it. That's all floating, but I'm not worried about it because we're not gonna see that. I don't think we're gonna see that. Okay, that I'm pretty happy with so far. Sweet. Good day so far. Let's see if we can't find some stuff here. What can we use as like a makeshift light post? Gotta go to hide. Ooh, no. Ooh, that's kind of cool. It's like a little bollard. That we could do that and just put like a sphere light over top of it, I think. I feel like that feels pretty dock-like, and I'm not seeing anything else that jumps at me, so that's gonna be our solution. So we're gonna grab that, we're gonna grab this, we're gonna grab grab that and grab this, and keep our rocks visible. I think that's all that we're gonna need for those. Okay, let's move this guy over. Pull him out, put him on the right layer. Hide that. And so we're going to need to put a little light over top of him, and we're going to use a separate light. We're not just going to copy the light that we used before so that we can change all of the dock lights together. So we'll keep them instanced. So let's just go ahead and F-storm light, sphere, and obviously that's huge. So we're just going to make him like a little light. Little-ish light. Put him right over the top of him. Make sure he's over the top of him. Okay, and let's see how this looks scale-wise with what we have. And I think that's going to be good. So let's do two things. First off, let's move that and let's name this light Dock Light so that we can find it in the lister, nice and easy. And then we're going to take that and we're going to name it Bollard. And let's put maybe two little ones right on the tops of these guys. Not worrying too much about getting it perfect because we're not going to be able to tell. Put another one here. Oh, there's already some up there. Ooh, for those ones, we already have them sitting there. We just need to take this guy. Come on, what is going on? We're just gonna put him right there. That we can delete. That we're gonna delete. Let's grab the light and make sure that's sitting in the right spot in this axis. Pull it down. Moving lights around, having fun. Oh, and we also had to grab a door, didn't we? I forgot about that. I'm gonna grab a door. Oh, son of a bitch. What did I not do, guys? Did you guys, anyone catch it? I didn't instance all of these. Okay, so. And let's close that. I'm not sure why my computer's stuttering. I feel like my computer's like really telling me that it's time to get this thing replaced. Let's change this to lights. Okay. Let's open all of those. Let's select just the lights. Let's isolate them. And we can use the object replacer. Single object, we're going to replace it with that guy, and we're going to make sure that it instances them. And these guys should get all instanced. Ooh. Where did they go? Oh, lordy. Knew that was going a little bit too smoothly. Let's see here. Let's ungroup all of them to see if that was the problem. Where's our object replacer? Pick the object to replace with. I'm going to replace it with that guy. Position, rotation, scale, name, material, blah, 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 blah. Yes, 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 yes. Treats, oh, that was our problem. You don't want to acknowledge groups. This should work. Apply. Yeah, beautiful. Now they're all instanced again. And these guys, we can go back to grouping it so that we can use it again. All group. Okay. And we need to put some stuff here and here. And instance. Good job, Michael. Way to remember these things. Where'd our tunes go? Oh. We're having more internet difficulties. Well, I'm just going to keep going. I'm not sure if this is still working. I'm not sure what's going on. I think that we're having internet issues. But we do not have the time to stop. Ooh, look, all these little guys are already here. How about that? Let's just take this and instance it. Oh, you guys can still hear me. You know, this, since I started this, it was kind of the first time that I've been doing, it's the first time I've ever streamed on YouTube, and there's some things that I really like about it, particularly that I don't have to do anything to leave these up for anyone who wants to see them. But it really doesn't do much as far as giving me information. So I don't know. It's telling me that there's an error, but if you guys can see me, I'm just going to keep pushing on. We're almost done here today anyways. We do want to move this. I'd like to be able to see kind of the edge of this. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale it this way, move it this way. I think we kind of want to go like this a little bit. And then we can kind of, I wish this little rock didn't come down right behind here, but I'm not going to try and fix that right now. I'm just going to say that that's good enough and leave it there. I'm wondering why. I have the feeling that when I'm working with OBS running and streaming, when the internet slows down, it works harder, maybe? I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. Let's move this up here. And for this guy, maybe we'll just, we're gonna put these, we're gonna put a couple of them up. We're gonna put 2 down back over here, I think. Maybe somewhere here. And then we're gonna grab the light and put lights at the top of the top of these guys. Okay. Okay. So we've got lights down here. We've got lights on these buildings. We need to put a door here. So let's grab a door. And we're just gonna grab, I think we have some like kind of doorway entrance halls isolated. That one. Okay, we'll put him right up in between those lights. That way it kind of makes at least some sense. This way it at least makes some sense why there's two lights sitting there, since that's kind of, even though it's not like about the entranceway, that ends up being, I think, kind of the focal point of the image. And having those lights in front of a blank wall doesn't make a lot of sense. I think we might be almost good on this. I'm gonna save one more time. I'm gonna save one more time and press render to check for anything, but I think we might be done in 3D for this. Fingers crossed. Let's see. What is going on? Okay, here we go. So, let's take one last look at it. And see. I think that we're probably good. Is there anything I said that I was going to do that I haven't done that you guys can think of? I feel like this has gone, this has been a good day. Yeah, let's just wait one more time for this to boot up and see if anything major jumps out. Otherwise, I will get this to render at full resolution in the interim between today and tomorrow, and we'll get back to things tomorrow and do Photoshop on this, which is what I've kind of been looking forward to since the beginning. Love Photoshop, particularly for like these sketches. I feel like these tend to transform pretty drastically in Photoshop for me, and in my like professional work, I still very much enjoy the Photoshop because I think it's where everything kind of comes together and really starts to pop. But the difference between a raw render professionally and what I deliver is much less significant generally than like my sketch work most of the time. Tassos for these, usually like 3 or 4K. It kind of depends. Usually when I do these, usually when I'm rendering these for just for fun, I'm sitting here waiting for it to finish rendering. I usually don't like render and then come back. So yeah, I usually do them at like 3K on a minimum, 5K if I'm gonna go to bed beforehand, or like go do something else and come back. But usually I just sit and have a beer and kind of catch up on emails or news or whatever else while they're rendering. So I tend to keep them like 3 to 4K, something like that. Nothing super high. It's not like they're getting printed, and they kind of just live on like my ArtStation and Instagram. So if it's over 2K, that's more than enough. So yeah, nothing major for this. It's square. I'll probably do it at 4K. I would think. Well, let's see if our computer will decide to cooperate with us. Maybe not. If this is the only little technical issue we ran into today, I'm gonna be happy about that. Yeah, these it's still doing something. Yeah, there we go. That's good news. Here we go. So I think, obviously we're not seeing our other lights, so let's turn them way up and figure out what happened. Let's go like something ridiculously high to figure out why we can't see these. There they all are. So they're in there. They're just super tiny, I think is why we can't see them. So that's obviously too much, but it's actually not like super too much. Let's drop it down to like 100,000. I think That might be okay. These lights I'm probably gonna have to adjust the size of, because I don't want them, like right now they look like these like big glowing spheres, and that's not what I want. I don't know if they're instanced or not. Where's that one? On this side. Yeah, those are way too big. So we're gonna make them smaller, which also means that we're gonna have to make them it's a little strange that they're this far away from the building, but that's going to allow the light to reach more, so I'm okay with that. Let's make them much smaller. And we might make the other ones a little bit bigger. Oh, that one just disappeared altogether on us. Oh, there it is. So because we made it smaller, we got to go way up in power. Keep my tone mapping. Thank you very much. Okay, let's go up to like 4,000. I would like for this to be bright. What's happening here? That might be enough. Maybe a bit more than that. Let's go and try 8. And one of the things that I'm going to render out with this is a normal map. A normal map, and normal maps are great if you want to paint in light after the fact. So I'm definitely going to do that. And then let's put a little bit more color into these lights. I'm going to make these a little bit bigger to make sure that they show up, which I'm going to guess that they would at full resolution, but we'll just kind of be on the safe side. And I want these to be, these are nice and orange. Do these want to go maybe a little bit more yellow? For professional work, kind of like 5 to 6K would be like a standard size, unless there's like a special application for them. I did this wall that was like a whole city block in New York on the inside of a store, so you could walk right next to it and you could also see it from afar. And that one was like 80,000 pixels by 8,000 pixels, which is ridiculous. For a billboard, you don't need it to be that big because you never get that close to it. But this was kind of a special application where you could walk right next to it and touch it while you're in the store, but if you're outside of the store, you get to see the whole thing. So that one was a technical challenge to get done. Okay, we can't see these right now because they're not visible. That might have been the issue. We might need to turn these back down now that I made them bigger, but, ooh, yeah, no, we're just going to make them smaller again. Let's go back down. Back down you go. I think that's going to be okay. I think everything else is going to get painted in. Let's see what the Z depth is looking like. Obviously there's an issue back here, but I'm not going to worry too much about that, because I actually don't think I want to pull all of that down any further. I'm going to pull the building down, and I'm not going to worry about the tree. That's going to be my answer there. So let's grab lights, building. And how far down do we need to pull it? We need to pull it down about the distance of that. So we need to pull it down from where that is to about there. Something like that. Okay, so I think I'm just going to set up some render elements, and I'm going to set up some render elements before this goes to final render. Right now we do have Z depth. Yeah, we have a couple mats already in here. So we actually don't need many. But there's nothing that exciting about those things, and I'll just do them before I send these to render tonight. But otherwise, I think that we're good for today. Hopefully you guys can still hear me, because it's still telling me that there's an error, so who knows what that means. But I think that we have everything kind of in place for what I have in mind, and we're going to make this hopefully a whole lot cooler and clearer in post tomorrow. So tomorrow at 1 I'll be back. I thank you guys all for coming and hanging out with me. Big thank you to Sinuous for letting me have the tunes playing in the background. I hope everyone's having a great day and has a great rest of their weekend, and I hope to see you guys all here tomorrow. Until then, stay positive, wash your hands, stay at home, and do something productive. Thank you all again. I very much appreciate it, and I'll talk to you all soon. Happy rendering, guys. Later.